Meeting to order. If you would, please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pam, would you do a roll call, please?
Mayor Kime.
Here.
Alderwoman Dobbs. Here. Alderman Fahey.
Here.
Alderman Donovan.
Here.
Alderman Huey.
Here.
Alderman Steiger.
Here.
Alderman Prince.
Here.
Alderman Ross. Alderman Ivan.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. At this time, I will look for approval of tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Skipping down, we don't have any presentations or personal appearances tonight, so we'll move along to tonight's City Administrator's Report.
Thank you, sir. I put an update at your seats. Just want to draw your attention to a few of these. I'll be attending a conference in Jefferson City next Tuesday and Wednesday, so I'll be out Tuesday and Wednesday. Keep in mind, City Hall's closed Monday for President's Day. The transfer of the Welcome Center to the National Park Service has been signed off on by the Governor. The National Park Service is now awaiting the final approval of a Phase 2 environmental study, but in talking to the superintendent, she anticipates handover in May, but that's still subject to this Phase 2 environmental approval. I added a couple, you'll see there, invitation for bids for Phase 2 of the Prop S improvements will be posted tomorrow. Those Phase 2 is split into two projects. One is an asphalt overlay and the other is a concrete street and water line improvements. The bid opening date for that will be March 12th. The SCADA system, so it's a system that was inside the water plant. You remember we built the building to move all the electric panels. That SCADA system is being relocated. That's the final step in that process. So I wanted to let you know that. / came down today to begin that. And then lastly, I just wanted to, it's been a while since our last meeting, but if you remember, 2 days after our last meeting, we got about 13.5 inches of snow. I wanted to say good job to the street department, working around the clock, the 24th and 25th, to keep snow routes clear. And they continue through the next week to keep the streets clear of snow, and they did a great job. That's all I have.
Dave, question on 1 and 5 and stuff. So this Christmas festival, I mean, is this, is there real progress being made in that, and not going to have the same issue as last year? And
there's real progress being made between the organizers and downtown St. John. They meet again first week of March, and hopefully it'll finalize that week, and they'll get together, and that'll be a downtown St. John festival.
We'll have Christmas in March. Christmas in March.
And number 5 and stuff, once that's transferred, I mean, that's been a long, drawn-out process and stuff. What liabilities and expenses will we have after that?
We won't have any. We'll take it off the insurance rolls. We will have employees that still work there,
Right.
but we won't have any expenses.
Finally.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Any other questions for David regarding the CA report? Okay. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
At this time, we will move ahead to staff reports. Come right back to you. Community development.
For a little while longer. Just a few points on this one. I want to reiterate the 2024 Historic Preservation Grant. We'll have a public meeting in March. I still don't have the date, but I want to let you all know that that's happening. I wanted to give you an update down under city-county items. We met today with the County Commission to discuss a possible intergovernmental agreement regarding the transient tax being on the ballot in April. We're going to get back together with them in 2 weeks. We gave them our draft document and a draft budget. They had some questions, but seemed interested in that agreement. And then on the second page, just wanted to point out that the long-range forecast for minor flooding went up a little bit. I think there's some concern of snow melt in the north, so it's still only 36%, but just wanted to draw your attention to it. And then I wanted to point out that Levy District 3 is working with us and Alliance to see if Corey and Dave Ammerman can be trained on pump house operations. So that'll be a fourth and fifth person who will be trained on that, and that's where Vern Bowman would like it, and Vern Bowman's pretty smart when it comes to those things, so that's where we're headed. That's all I have.
Any questions regarding the community development report? No? Okay, thank you again, Dave. Then next up tonight, we have our tourism director, Aaron Smith.
Good evening, everyone. Wanted to report that the Missouri Main Street Board is finalized. They had their first meeting on Monday. This adds like an economic development arm to our historic downtown, which I think will be very fruitful. Our state grant for welcome and wayfinding is underway. That's a total of $60,000. Met with Corey on Tuesday. We rode around. One of the big plans is to put banner poles so that we can kind of fix some of the traffic, pulling people walking downtown into different areas. And then lastly, I think I have some additional information on the back of this. I think our tourism ecosystem that we're trying to build is starting to come into focus. That includes digital assets like our website, advertisement, running our PR user-generated content campaign with Jasper Paul, and then our physical assets like the wayfinding. We have a brochure that will be here very shortly, and an events handout, so really tightening up what we hand out at the Welcome Center and things like that. And also, with this addition of Missouri Main Street to our downtown ecosystem, trying to, you'll see a Venn diagram on the back that kind of talks to what these different organizations are going to do. And so that we can kind of strengthen the lanes that we're in. And so tourism can do what tourism does. Missouri Main Street will be pulling their weight, downtown St. Gen and the Chamber, how they're all pushing kind of the same boulder up the hill, but different aspects of it. So, any questions?
Who is on the board of Missouri Main Street?
We have Susie Johnson, Tyler Barr of SRS Roofing, Josh Wright, Mayor Brian Keim, Lindsay Crump from the Museum Learning Center, and Amanda Delahanty from YPR Agency here in town.
Becky.
And Becky Long.
Aaron, would you indulge us and kind of go through that Venn diagram that you have on the back and just kind of explain a little bit about how you envision that and how these different groups are working together?
Yeah, and just from our perspective, I thought it was good because, I think a lot of sort of the things that tourism does gets kind of muddy with all the things that it's asked to do. And so I think this Venn diagram kind of helps show, especially like I said, with the introduction of Missouri Main Street. Missouri Main Street's about placemaking. It's about revitalizing your downtown through economic development. You have the Chamber, which is here for business development, business advocacy, and networking. And so, you can kind of see how everything moves into itself. Downtown St. Genevieve does a great job of marketing events and event promotions. So I see that working with Missouri Main Street. Missouri Main Street needs a pretty heavy event arm, and I think downtown St. Gen can support that. And also within economic development, I think we're going to be, doing some business recruitment, or at least, Missouri Main Street is going to be very focused on helping our downtown businesses, and that will go great with what the Chamber does with business development. And then tourism, working with that promotions arm of Missouri Main Street to bring outside money in and staying in that lane of attracting visitors to our town. Does that help?
Yeah, it's visually, I'm a little more visual, so this was a good thing to help me kind of understand where everybody fits together and works on this stuff. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. No. And this has been passed around to all the organizations, and then we're going to kind of reach out to the downtown merchants and all the stakeholders we have in these things, and get them this so they can kind of know where to go when they have a question about something.
Aaron, you talked about a lot of the things that the Missouri Main Street Board is working on and stuff like that. Is the chamber involved in that, or do we have any chamber members on that board?
We do not.
Yeah, that seems like to me that would almost be a automatic.
Well, I know downtown St. Gen and the chamber, we're talking about, taking on this board as a wing of downtown St. Genevieve, or, downtown St. Genevieve merging with this board, but they ended up passing on it.
I mean, is that something that you could meet with them? That seems like to me that's a very much of a fit for them to be involved.
Absolutely, and I think they're definitely going to be involved. It's just,
They never have been.
I just feel like also we needed to bring some new blood to the table, or some reinvigorated blood to the table on
There's
this.
been a lot of meetings with downtown St. Gen and asked, and they've been brought along this whole time, and we've had 3 or 4 direct meetings with them about potentially taking it over or partnering, and so they've kind of talked it over, and I don't think they feel like they can commit to the time to put it all together. So they're kind of focused on promotions and downtown marketing, and so I think we've got a good solution moving forward.
Right.
And has communicated with them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's reached out to them.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, this is just going to be such a lot of heavy lifting, and so, the more we can kind of keep our boards from intercrossing and diluting, and, we can get some fresh legs out there, I think that'll be super important.
Chamber legs?
All right.
Anything else?
Other questions for Aaron? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. At this time, we will open up the floor for public comment. If anybody would like to comment publicly to the board?
Should I approach the podium?
Yeah, come on up.
Hello.
Hello.
My name's Heidi Walker. I know some of you. I live here in St. Genevieve. I'm a business owner. My family's here. I came here because I want to talk about the 287G contract that was signed on December 9th here in the city. I also understand that it was also signed at the county level, but I think right now that we want to address it at the city level, and that's why we're here. I understand that this did not require a board vote. I believe, from what I understand, it didn't require a Board of Aldermen vote because it didn't require any funds. So I could be wrong. I'm just telling you the way I understand it. But it's also my understanding that the 287G contract can be terminated by a Board of Aldermen vote. And that's why I'm here today, to ask you to vote to terminate the 287G MOA. We have a big group of concerned citizens here, taxpayers, and they're here because they're passionate about this issue, because they're our neighbors, and we care for our neighbors. And I know you guys all do too. I know that. But this is sending the wrong message. And I just want to talk about that for a minute, and I'm not going to take a lot of time because I know some other people want to talk as well. This was signed on December 9th, and I know a lot has happened since then. But here in St. Genevieve, we're watching what's unfolding in Minneapolis. Please excuse my head shaking. I have something called cervical dystonia. It makes my head shake. It's nothing, nothing to cause concern. But meanwhile, the families here in St. Genevieve are watching this unfold. And I think you all know what families I'm talking about. And they're terrified. They're absolutely terrified. They're terrified to go to the store. They're terrified to go pay their taxes and get a waiver so that they can go get their license plates renewed or their jobs. They're afraid to go to work. They're afraid to drive to work, so they're walking to work. And so a contract like this makes it even more scary, right? It's what is so disturbing about this is that we're supposed to feel safe and secure here in our homes and in our neighborhoods. This is the safest place to live. It's a wonderful place to live. What are we doing? We're not making people feel safer. If I'm a single mom at home with my kids, and I'm not sure if I'll be picked up because I'm Hispanic or brown, and I hear noises outside, or gunshots, or whatever we sometimes hear, and I get scared, I can't call the police now. I'm living in the shadows. And I don't think that's okay. You all have seen that mural under the railroad tracks, right? What does it say? Welcome, bienvenidos. Is this ironic? It feels ironic to me that in 2025 we painted this beautiful mural, welcoming other cultures. And then we're signing these contracts? And we're able to arrest people without a warrant only under suspicion that they may be undocumented. If I were black or brown, that would give me pause. I'd be very concerned. So I'm asking you to reconsider, and I'm asking you to terminate this contract. And I'm appealing to our better angels. I hope our better angels will prevail. Because I don't think this is the story of St. Genevieve. I really don't think this is the story that we're trying to market. Aaron, he knew what I was going to say because I've said this at the town hall. I don't think this is the story that we are wanting. Will history look kindly on this? That's what I'm asking. So, thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name's Joyce Shoemaker. I was a prior business person, had an antique shop here for 10 years. I want to address the 287G. I want to find out, and maybe someone can give us information later, is how much has the city made? How much money have you taken in on holding these prisoners? Have you been paid? We know Trump doesn't pay people. We know he's not paying his ICE officers. They didn't get their $50,000 bonus. They haven't got paid. They're January 6th agents that were pardoned by Trump. And you want something like that in town? You want them with masks and guns and no name tags? This has to be canceled. Let's see, this little agenda that says the money they could get $100,000 for a car. But you know what? We don't need a car, and we don't need the money, and we're not going to take the salary and benefits or the overtime or the equipment now. Maybe later. Have we been paid? How much has the county made? Where's that money going to? Is it going to taxes? Does anybody know? Do you know? I know you can't comment. I've lived in a red state all my life, in Indiana and now here. I'm a Democrat for all my life. You should be embarrassed if you're supporting Trump. You should be embarrassed if you invite ICE to our town. Please reconsider. It's ridiculous.
Good evening. My name is Ed Taylor. My wife and I have lived in St. Genevieve County for over 40 years. According to the Homeland Security website, the 287G program will give local police the tools and authority to arrest the worst of the worst, including murderers, rapists, pedophiles, and terrorists. Meet Garcia, a young man arrested and detained by ICE. His crime? None. Clean record, lived several years in this country. After several days in our local jail, he just wanted to be deported, to return to his home country. He would pay for his own plane ticket. Wanted me to get some documents to his wife, documents including title to their car. Later he asked, "So can I request a voluntary departure tomorrow and buy my own ticket? Will they let me just go say goodbye to my wife and then I'll catch my flight, even if I pay the $500 bail?" That's not how it works. He was moved to Greene County. I sent his wife the contact information. Tuesday, she emailed me to say that he was moved again, and could I find him? He is in Louisiana. Next stop is probably a plane out of the United States. No farewell to his wife. Meet Juanita, who entered this country legally, but missed her court date when she gave birth, a difficult birth involving a C-section. 3 years later, she has a clean record. She was picked up outside a restaurant in the St. Louis region. Her son is with a neighbor. She is distraught without her child. Wants to be deported with him. He is a U.S. citizen. He has a passport. This morning she wrote, "Good morning, Ed. At night it's harder. I don't sleep at all. I always used to sing to him at night, his favorite song, Our Father. You know, this is too hard for me to hug my blanket and think it is him with me at my side. We're playing. I hear his voice saying, 'Mama.' My heart is broken. I'm here, but my mind is there. My world is there. It is hard for me to be strong, thinking about him, thinking about his favorite food, about his little hands when he asks for something, clenching them and saying, 'Please.' Are these the worst of the worst? Are these the people our officers will target? And ICE will pay the salaries and bonuses for good work? These migrants are our neighbors. How many pieces of silver will we collect to arrest them?
Hello. I want to talk to you about, is it right or is it wrong? My name is Sandra Muzzy. My husband is in the back. I have 2 kids. My son is in Poland with the US military right now. I currently have 2 homes in town, and we're trying to restore the buildings so the best we can. I am a US citizen. Originally, I was born in South Africa, but I am a current legal citizen, and I have my passport here to prove it, because I carry my passport with me in case a funny voice gets me arrested. I was made a US citizen on the 14th of February, 1986. So I've been an official citizen for 40 years. I'll try to be nice. I sometimes sound weird because I've had a brain aneurysm and a stroke, but leading to this, I have contributed to society at the best as I am possible. We have paid taxes, we followed the rules of society, and I've lived recently in Minnesota. That name rings a bell, doesn't it? I was in Minnesota in January, and I was there when that man got shot 10 times in the back, and it is supposedly legal. He hasn't been... I know what happens when ICE agents misbehave. To shoot 10 shots into a back is apparently acceptable. We know that Alex Preddy was a US citizen. He didn't have a dark skin or a funny accent, but I have that funny accent. And I'm concerned that as such, I am going to be a potential target. So I carry my passport with me at all times, and I'm afraid. And I hope that the local police remain as local police, not ICE agents. If my basic needs of a police are met, I am so happy. I want regular police. But to endure ICE agents making money is not necessary and an asset to the community. This is not Democrat or Republican. Is it right or is it wrong? Thank you.
I am Jean Shattuck from North 3rd Street. I would like to know how many ICE detainees there are in this town. And I would like to know, of those detainees, how many are murderers, rapists, terrorists, or otherwise violent criminals. Can the council provide that information to me? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Millie Nager. I'm a comedian and an artist in town. My mom and dad are Bill and Patty Nager. My mom was the leader of the Les Petits Chanteurs, and I've been a member of it for about 30 years. My mom taught us how to sing French and German songs because she wanted to support what heritage we have in this town. And as you know, many of us don't speak French or German in this town anymore, although we used to. And now we have this opportunity to celebrate a culture that is actually bilingual and is bringing so much richness to this town. And we're denying it. And I just want to know if what we're asking by this contract is to get rid of any amount of richness that we have and to turn an El Potosino into a Taco Bell or the Les Petits Chanteurs into the Little Singers. Thank you.
I want to talk about secrecy and the secrecy that either accidentally or intentionally led to this contract. I understand that the Board of Aldermen doesn't feel like they had to approve it or disapprove it. And I understand that the contract was entered into December before the two murders in Minneapolis. I also understand that there are probably people in this city who support ICE 110%. But you have a significant population that doesn't, that thinks ICE is despicable. And they may be right, and they may be wrong, but they should be heard. And they weren't heard. Maybe that was intentional, maybe that was accidental. That's my first point. My second point is, my understanding is that the police chief says that somehow entering into this agreement is going to help law enforcement deal locally because they will get information from Homeland Security. That to me is ridiculous. If they were going to provide, if Homeland Security was going to provide information to a local police department because they thought it was necessary for national security, they should do that independently. But they're not going to be providing information. The only advantage that the city will get is money possible. And you are dealing with a man who is notorious for lying and weaseling out of any promise that he has made.
Yeah.
Moving ahead, I would ask that any decision in any way, tangential or direct, relating to ICE and the city of St. Genevieve be made after the public is informed of what may be considered.
Any other public comment at this time?
Come on, speak
I'm Darwin Muzzy, also a resident. Just a short, if you haven't read the book 1984, it's a good refresher to read. Newspeak, you got your Fox News and you got your Midas, whatever it is. I mean, the media is pulling us apart and we need to find a way to come back together again. But 1984 is an interesting read if you haven't done so in a few years. That's all I wanted to bring up. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Wayne Grusling. I'm a resident of St. Genevieve for the last 20 years or so. I was born and raised in Chicago by immigrant parents. They came to this country as children in the late 1920s. So my family has been here less than 100 years. There's probably people in this room that have family going back hundreds of years. I was also a policeman in Chicago for 9 years. I've seen the worst of the worst in living color. And I've also seen good people. ICE's tactics are disgusting. As a police officer, if I would have done any of these things that these people are doing, I would have been fired. I probably would have been prosecuted. And for killing somebody, I sure as hell would go to jail. And it's happened all the time. Now we have an organization where the shooter's gone. They won't cooperate with local authorities. We're living in some kind of strange land. I don't know what it is. The United States of America that I lived in for 80 years is changing and not for the better. The current administration is out there saying, oh, all these terrible people that are going to come and rape your children and your wives and run over your dog and eat them when they're done. I don't know. It gets crazy. And he's just a tyrant who's looking for a boogeyman. So the boogeyman is the immigrant because they're different. Well, look around the room. Nobody looks alike. Everybody's a different shade of whatever. People are heavy, people are thin, people are different. They're just different people. If there's a blame for an immigration coming in here, immigrants coming in, it falls on the Congress. Both sides. They've had years to come up with some decent immigration bills, and they're too busy playing gotcha with each other to do anything. Now, I don't see any positive benefit for this contract, what it's going to do for the city of St. Gen, and I see an awful lot of negatives. Like people were saying, I want a cop who's going to be a cop, who's going to look out for the real bad guys, the people who are committing crimes. And around here, it's mostly white people. I just can't see this going along with them because their tactics aren't right. They're not giving you anything. You listen to their people that are in charge, and they dance around issues. They dance around killing people and don't work with the community. It's nuts. And they keep trying to get away with more and more and more. This isn't the country we want to live in. Who wants to live in a police state? They're talking about having police at the polls. I don't want some cop at the polls. When I was a cop in Chicago, we stay out of the polls. You don't go near them. You don't want to influence anybody, one way or the other. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Any other public comment at this time? Okay. Go ahead and close out the public comment. I know that these are awkward situations because the board cannot engage with the public during that, but we did want to speak to you and to your concerns. I want to thank you all. Coming here is not fun, nor is it easy. So I want to thank you for coming here and voicing your opinion. It's what makes this forum great. The opportunity to come and speak those concerns. I also want to thank those that may not be in attendance tonight that have voiced concerns either via email, via our website. I can promise you that we read them, we took them to heart, we had conversations, we had meetings, we discussed them. They were not dismissed. We took all the information we could, and we're happy that you're here to talk with us about this, and I do appreciate you coming here. Our police chief and the board itself, our board is tasked with giving our police chief the tools and the resources that they need to do their job effectively. When presented with this, it was clear, based on his recommendation, that these resources and tools would be beneficial, that they were of benefit to him and his department and for the overall greater safety of our community. We have not been paid. Okay?
Yeah.
The agreement, as you brought up, was signed on December 9th. I think in the relatively 2 months since that time, I think operations look the same as they did prior to December 9th. I don't see any ICE officers, and you will not see our police department acting as ICE officers. They are not allowed to do that. They are not allowed to enforce federal law. This is not part of their jurisdiction. ICE is a federal agency. They enforce their laws. We cannot encroach on them enforcing their laws. If they wanted to come into this community, there would be nothing that this agreement would or wouldn't do to stop that or to help them enter our community.
Who contacted who?
Excuse me?
Who
Hold on.
contacted who?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay.
I gave you
You've
the...
already made your decision, so go ahead.
What? Well, I've
Yeah,
given
go ahead.
everybody here the opportunity to speak, so I'm going to address your concerns. They do not have the ability to enforce those laws. That is not what this is doing. The agreement has multiple facets to it, and I know that you all have read this agreement, and I know you have looked at it. There are certain aspects of that agreement or models of that agreement that would incentivize detainees within the department. If we were to detain more people, we are not going that route. That is not the aim of this department in any way, shape, or form. This is not how we are operating. Okay?
So it's just to get the list of everybody in town.
There is no...
You know, when are we gonna,
Excuse me.
when are we gonna be?
The public comment period is over.
Okay, yeah, well, I can still speak my mind.
Well, the public comment period is over, so let's...
I don't care.
Okay. All right.
I know that I'm not going to change your mind. I understand that. Okay? but I'm going to try to explain our motivations. We were asked about, okay.
There's no explanation, they're doing it.
Ma'am,
Wait for it comes to somebody else. Wait before they come after somebody else. Deplorable.
Ma'am, I would like to address your specific question regarding detainees at the county jail. I cannot answer that question. We have no jurisdiction over the county jail. We do not, that would be a question for the county. I know that they've entered into the same agreement under a jailing model. I can't answer that question for you, but I'm sure.
Who do I get in touch with to find out?
I would think that you could contact Sheriff Stolzer if you had questions regarding ICE detainees currently being held at the St. Genevieve jail. Now, most of the detainees, my understanding is, those are not local detainees. Those are detainees from other parts of the state. That's part of a federal contract that's ongoing. I'm not saying there are not local detainees in there. I'm just saying that a large majority of those prisoners or inmates or detainees are from other jurisdictions that are part of a federal contract. But I would let Sheriff Stolzer answer that question, but I did want to address it. I do want to be very clear about this. Profiling of any sort, one, it is illegal, and two, it will not be tolerated, period. Period. From our law enforcement, Chief and I have had these discussions. Chief made it very clear that profiling is not acceptable and it will not be tolerated, and it is not part of our operation. Okay? Also be clear, as I mentioned, our officers will not act as ICE officers. They cannot and will not be at the direction of the federal government to carry out ICE operations within the city of St. Genevieve. That is not part of this agreement, nor is it anything that our department wants to consider in any way, shape, or form. Okay? Those discussions have been had. We put faith in our law enforcement every day. We trust them to protect us in a variety of different ways. I would like to ask humbly to the community to trust them in this endeavor and moving forward. I think they will make you proud. I think they make us proud on a day-to-day basis. We have a safe community as it's been addressed. I do not see that ever changing. The core values and the mission of our police department are not changing as a result of this. This does not invite any new people, any new cooks into this kitchen. This is our local law enforcement. Okay? Yes, ma'am, all out.
The direct reimbursement, salary and benefits states that the ICE will reimburse any credentialed and trained officer involved in immigration enforcement. And those people are training officers completing a 40-hour, it sounds like ICE will be training local law enforcement and reimbursing the salaries of those. Is that
No, that will
wrong?
not be the case. That will not be the case under the agreement that we have entered into with the Department
Will our
of Homeland
local police be involved in immigration enforcement?
They will not carry out ICE operations within the city of St. Genevieve.
Will they be involved in immigration enforcement?
The scope of what they are allowed to do is if during the course of their regular police work, they would be able to issue a warrant to detain somebody if they are not able to identify themselves.
That's where the passport comes
Okay.
in.
What do they need to identify themselves?
I want to make it clear that we hear you. I hear you. Your concerns are not falling on deaf ears. Our door will remain open for further discussion on this. This will be part of our monthly report from the police department. You are obviously welcome to come and attend those meetings to see that data as well. It will be available. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move this meeting along.
Point of clarification?
At this time, I will look for approval of tonight's consent agenda.
I would like to take Resolution 2026-1 out for further discussion.
Dash 21, which one? 22, there's 19.
2026-21.
20.
Just got a couple more questions about it.
Okay.
Move to approve as agenda, as amended.
So I have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda, removing Resolution 2026-21. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Let's talk about Resolution 2026-21. This is a resolution of the City of St. Genevieve to apply for a recreational trails program grant with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources.
How much of the asphalt trail that's up there are we going to be able to replace?
With this grant,
Yes.
I think it's like approximately 1,000 foot. This is multiple phases. If you're up there, we did one, two,
Right.
over the past 2 years. This one will extend where it stops near the small pavilion down to where the old tennis courts were.
Okay, and that'll leave us
A lot.
a lot yet to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, we've identified the 1,000 feet. Which section is the most priority?
Happy started this based on the most use, so, and then we're extending it. So right now, we go from the big pavilion to the little pavilion, and if we get this grant, it'll extend the little pavilion down, actually it'll connect to the sidewalk that runs along North Main or Little Rock Road.
Okay.
It'll also dip in and catch the bathrooms there.
Okay. Down to section 2, and it says basically we're going to have to operate and maintain the completed project in a safe, attractive manner for public access for a minimum of 25 years and stuff. I mean, that's a long time on a slab of concrete.
Well, it doesn't mean we can't fix it or replace it or repair it, but we have to maintain what's there to get the grant. So
That's part of the grant
Yes, sir.
stipulations. Okay, I figured it was and stuff, so. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2026-21. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We have no old business to discuss tonight, so we'll move along to some new business. Resolution 2026-15, this is a resolution reappointing Brock Gibson to the St. Genevieve Tourism Tax Commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next up, Resolution 2026-16. This is a resolution reappointing Amanda Schwint to the St. Genevieve Tourism Tax Commission.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution 2026-17. This is a resolution reappointing Rebecca Monia to the St. Genevieve Tourism Tax Commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then Resolution 2026-18. This is a resolution reappointing Barbara Bosler Peterson to the St. Genevieve Parks and Recreation Board.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Next up, we'll have a first reading of Bill number 4705. This is an ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Superior Roofing Strategies LLC for the water treatment facility roof repairs project in an amount of $28,757.88.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We have two readings scheduled for this next one. First reading of Bill number 4706, Yeah, that's correct. This is an ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve authorizing the mayor to enter into a second amendment to the purchase agreement with McBride Land Growth LLC.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Motion for a second reading of bill number 4706.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for a second reading. All in favor?
Discussion.
Yes.
Just can we state the reason why we're pushing this through on a second reading?
Yes, so this agreement, the current agreement expires on February 27th, which would be one day after our second meeting in February. We thought better to go ahead and knock this out now in the off chance that we don't have a quorum or something comes up on the meeting on the 26th. So this would just knock this out so we can have it rubber stamped ahead of the 27th.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
It extends the current agreement. There's nothing new.
Nothing new.
Nothing new.
No. No, just kicking it out, I believe 90 days. Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So we have
We already
a,
had that.
Oh, did
we have a motion and a second for, we have a motion and a second for a second reading.
Reading, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. This will be a second reading of bill number 4706. This is an ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve authorizing the mayor to enter into a second amendment to the purchase agreement with McBride Land Growth LLC.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Pam, would you do a roll call, please?
Alderwoman Dobbs.
Yes.
Alderman Fahey.
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Huey.
Yes.
Alderman Eidman. Alderman Steiger.
Yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no's, 1 absent. Bill number 4706 now becomes ordinance 4626.
Thank you very much. And then last up tonight, we have a first reading of bill number 4707. This is an ordinance to amend section 112.020 custodian designated response to request for access to records of the ordinances of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri. So I see a few looks. This is an update dictated by state statute.
So what you're adding is paragraphs H and I. The legislature passed a revision of the Sunshine Law which allows for a formal expiration of the sunshine request if payment is not made within a certain period of time, and also allows for the city clerk or other city officials to ask for clarification, and then if there's no response to that, then it expires. The way the law was before is you're kind of left out there, like how long do we have to keep these records available if they don't come in and pay the small fees for copying. So that is just basically to be consistent with state law and allow us to more effectively manage those various sunshine requests.
Do we have a motion yet?
Nothing yet.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That would conclude our scheduled business for the evening. Is there any other discussion or topics you'd like to bring forth right now?
I have one. Someone had brought up to me there's some lights out off of Industrial Road that are burned out, and then we have a couple out there. I guess the old ones are high pressure sodium, then we've got a couple of white ones out there. I know years ago we upgraded all the city lights to LEDs, but we didn't do those. Is that something we can?
You want to fill us in?
Yeah, those are being upgraded, they don't make the old ones anymore, Bob. So everything we're in now is being upgraded as we go.
To LEDs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the white ones?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Report. Light out report.
Okay. No, I'll grab the number one later.
You did it.
Where at? Where's the light out of the
It's
report?
off the corner of a port in Lake.
There's two of them that I've seen.
Is there 2 out?
I think so.
It's dark.
Just so everybody's aware, if there's a light out on a street and you can report a concern or call Pam or I, we'll get it fixed.
Hey, it's Bob's fault.
All right, any other
The drug house is right there.
light bulbs need to go on anywhere? I do want to echo David's remarks earlier. Corey and your team, thank you for all the work you did. I know it was a lot of sleepless nights and early mornings and everything else. You guys did a fantastic job. Over a foot of snow is a little tough, but your crew did an amazing job, and I want to thank you for all the work you guys put in.
Thanks, that's all.
What's this?
All right, if there is no other business to discuss right now, we will go ahead and adjourn and move into work session. Tonight's work session to order. At this time, I will look for approval of tonight's work session agenda.
Motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion and second. I believe that's what he said. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have sewer study updates. Take it away.
Yes, so we're going to cover a few things tonight. The study, some possible fixes, routes to get to those fixes, and then Ms. Etherton and Mr. James are also here, if you remember from the sewer issue they had earlier in 2025. But I want to start by kind of explaining the study, and we have TJ Garbs and Mark Capitelli. I hope I got your names right. From Cochrane, if you want to come on up. Just a little background, if you remember, originally when the backups happened, we kind of talked in-house about how we could look through that. We did smoke tests. We brought in a crawler camera. You all asked for some additional work from Alliance. Alliance sent all that camera and data off to their engineer. They produced a report for us. That report said this data needs to go to Cochrane, who was in the process of already doing a sewer study. They did a much more detailed study, and they're going to present that to you tonight.
Sure, I brought more of these.
You brought more?
If you, I don't know if you guys can pass these around. If there's anything you don't have, pull them out. We can share. We'll just share over there. Sure, because you guys might already have all these.
Oh.
Probably just in case.
Never mind, take one of each.
Bring those back.
Oh,
They're the same as what
yeah, let me pass them out while you guys talk.
I know, but this way we get our own.
Pardon me, Joe.
All right, my name is Mark Capitelli. I'm here with TJ Garbs. We're with Cochrane Engineering. We were tasked by the city to kind of do an evaluation of the Pointe Basse Drive sewer main to see if it had any sort of capacity to add any additional flow. If you look at this map that's kind of presented up here, there's a blue dashed line down there. There's a new development that has been proposed, and kind of the interest of this study was to determine whether or not that development could add flow into that sort of red section of pipe that's already in place. So we went through and did some field work, identified some manholes, did some inspections, found slopes and pipe diameters, and kind of went through the complete contribution area to determine whether or not the capacity was available here. Using those slopes and pipe diameters, we were able to establish, do some modeling and kind of establish a expected peak capacity that this pipe segment's able to handle. So if you look at that red pipe segment, what we found was based on the contribution area, this would be able to handle about 350 to 400 gallons per minute. Just based on slopes, pipe size, all that, that's just what we found when we went through our model. And that's pretty typical of an 8-inch sewer main. Typically you'd see about 350 gallons per minute able to handle that. Anything over that you start seeing surcharging and backups and whatnot. We've heard there's some historic background backups here, some issues here, so that's why we believe that this evaluation was asked to be done to kind of determine whether or not any additional flow would be a good idea or not.
To jump in there too, I think part of the issues too that the city sees is, I believe the prison is on that line, so they're typically with that type of institution, there's rags getting in, which cause a lot of backups, and that's part of the problem. But I think from this study, what we've really determined is the hydraulics portion of it is also the problem. It's not just that. And that's what I think Mark's kind of getting at here is we more or less modeled this from the 8-inch line that everything goes to. There's approximately the capacity of that line is about 350. I think Mark even mentioned that we did some flow data on that as well. So we went out there with a flow meter, installed it. We only had it out there about a week just to get you guys some information tonight. it is still out there, and just dry weather. You know, we had a little bit of snow melt, but nothing crazy. The flows we were seeing peaks of up to 290. So I'm assuming that over this weekend when it rains, we're going to see that those flows are going to get above that 350, 400 gallon per minute range, which will result in backup. So that pretty much the way we're looking at this is this system is at capacity. Adding 130 homes onto it is only going to make it worse. So what we did was we came up with two solutions, and I'll let Mark kind of describe those.
Sure. You kind of got that one exhibit up there. I'll start with the first one. The first one would be just upsizing the pipe. So like I've said, one of the constraints of the pipe is an 8-inch pipe. Upsizing it, more flow can get through there.
I'm going to show them that pipe real quick.
Sure.
So we're talking, here's the shopping center plaza, this pipe here.
Yep. So pretty much everything in red that you see up there, that is everything that Cochrane has looked at and reviewed. That is what our modeling shows. So we modeled that entire, everything in red there, that's what was modeled and what we accounted for. So.
Yep. Based on our modeling, we were able to establish if you put in 12-inch, you'd be able to handle the current flow in addition to the additional flow from the proposed development. Kind of some of the issues with that though is that it's kind of a deep segment of pipe and there's not much slope to it. So just putting in a pipe there could be pretty difficult, and it's also pretty, pretty lot of houses and stuff there. So it'd be relatively invasive getting in there. You'd have to acquire a lot of easements. It'd be kind of destructive of people's yards and stuff. So one of the other proposed recommendations.
One thing more. Just a few things on that project. Just replacing that main. So in some areas it's about 20 feet deep. So that, I mean, you got to think that's going to be 40 feet of just destruction. And some of this is on streets.
How wide do you have to go for a 20, has shore up?
You could go up to 40 feet. I mean, because you got to think you got to get down 20 feet. So that's a big area. Not to mention time consuming. I think McBride wanted to move in relatively quickly and get this installed. So, I mean, you're looking at least 2 years by the time construction's finished to get easements, get everything constructed. There's a lot here. It's a pretty big undertaking. If it was a little shallower, maybe, I mean, it might be a little more feasible. But because of this, it's also more expensive because of how deep it is. We did do some cost analysis on this, and this definitely is a more expensive endeavor. So
you're saying this line all the way from point 17 all the way down to point 1 would have to be made larger?
Upsized to 12. That one that goes down along, I think it's Brookdale, down closer to the development, that could stay as is, so that wouldn't need to be replaced based on our modeling. Yeah, that one could stay in place, but the main line of it would have to be upgraded to 12-inch.
Yeah, where's your flow meter at now in this?
It's at main hole 4. So we tried to get as much of the flow into it as, if you can see that. Yep. So that's where we're collecting it, and we're trying to just get as much data as we can from the entire contributing area.
But that basically, if we're at capacity of 17, that would eliminate any future development up from that point.
I think pretty much the way that this is currently set up, this system, how it is set up currently, is at max capacity. Right. That's more or less the way to look at this, I think.
TJ or Mark, do you mind explaining that we're not just talking about Bowsler Drive?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, so everything you see in there in the yellow dash line is kind of what contributes to this area. So basically everything you see in that yellow dash line is what contributes to that manhole 4 that we set the flow meter up at. Everything in that blue area is what directly contributes to Point Base Drive. That's kind of where you guys have had some issues, seen some backups. So there's some lift stations down there, everything from Progress and Parkway up there and the community center, all that gets pumped over there and included as well. So it's a pretty big area, and it's relatively dense, like high usage facilities like laundromats, the prison, community centers, apartments, houses, all that stuff gets pumped in there. So it may not look like much, but there's a lot of flow going through there. Mm-hmm. So this is a kind of the recommendation we're leaning towards is installing a lift station at the new development. That red square right there, he's pointing out right there, is the approximate location of this lift station. Everything from that neighborhood and kind of some surrounding areas would be able to gravity flow down to it. So they could just, you could build some development around there and it could actually flow down to that. It provides, some future growth out that way. That red dashed line is a force main. So that pumps, that's where the water would get pumped. It get pumped along that force main down south and then along Progress Parkway and eventually tie into an existing sewer main that's located near Troutman Industrial Park. So with that, that's one of the benefits is kind of you're removing any additional flow. That flow's not going into the Pointe Basse kind of tributary area. Another thing that you could do, and what we're kind of recommending, is you can redirect the flow from these lift stations over here. I don't know if you can really see it, but there's some orange lines on the left side of your screen, or on the screen.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the area in the blue that you saw. Those were
the majority of it.
The majority of that. That is all service area that would get pumped now to this new lift station, taking some of the stress off of Pointe Basse.
Right. You could redirect those orange lines to a new gravity main, which we have called out on that exhibit, and it could then flow down to the new lift station. So that would reduce the amount of flow that's currently going to that Pointe Basse kind of water main there, which should help with any sort of backups or capacity problems you currently have.
So that's kind of confusing here because we're tying into an 8-inch line. If the 8-inch line we have over here is not big enough, why is this one now big enough? Just because it's a forced main?
There's not as much flow. This will be for new flow, so this will be for the new development. I'm trying to figure out how to explain this, but everything above, if you see that green line going above that blue shaded in area, that now is a separate, it's going down to Pointe Basse Drive. This is tying into a new 8-inch gravity main that should be able to handle any flow from Progress, because it doesn't have all the other contributing areas like the detention center, the laundromat, some apartment complexes and stuff. Those will no longer be tying into this lift station. They're going the way they are. We're redirecting some of the existing flow from the community center and Progress Parkway, that area, to a new lift station.
Can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
So this is we're pulling out here. Those 2 lift stations we're talking about, there's actually 3 here, would then tie in to a manhole right here at the end of Bowser Drive, and then the other graphic you just saw, gravity feed down to the lift station. So that would take all of this off of this system.
Yep.
And one thing I'd like to add to that gravity main, we just kind of drew that in there as that can go a million different ways. The way I kind of looked at it is we could work with McBride on that and kind of figure that out. We would probably try to use their, the gravity system that they implement and just kind of direct it to this lift station. So that can change. Yeah. That can change for sure.
So if McBride, I apologize that I keep getting up and down, ladies and gentlemen, this gravity main would probably be something, not probably, that McBride's going to install anyway. Right? They're going to extend Bowser Drive, there'll be homes here. They're going to gravity feed everything. So in theory, we would just simply tie into their line right here. And then of course we're going to have to install all that.
Sure.
What does the lift station do?
So lift station, pretty much, so water goes downhill due to gravity. We normally put lift stations at lower points, and pretty much we have gravity lines that, so all the water, it doesn't require any mechanical means to get the water from point A to point B, it's using gravity. And we pretty much have these low points all throughout, and there's low points all throughout the city. In order to get that water up to a certain point, get it over, so we can get it over to the treatment plant, we have to cross hills. So a lift station, more or less, it's down in an area where all the water collects, and we have pumps there that then pump water through a force main that get it up over a hill to the next, pretty much to get it over to the treatment plant so it can be treated.
So the pump runs 24 hours a day?
No, it's on a timer. There's floats in there, so pretty much it'll get to a certain point, the float will kick it on, the pumps drain down, it'll kick off.
So in this development area and stuff, under a forced main, doesn't that require some type of special to tie into that with these individual laterals that'll run into there? You can't just tie into a forced main under a normal gravity flow system and stuff. That's going to require something special
Correct, yeah, you would have to, normally, if someone wanted to tie onto a force main, they would have to have a grinder station. I'm not really sure that's gonna be the sole purpose of this, really. I mean, I think this would be a gravity system that would all flow down to the one or to the one lift station that would pump out and into the existing system.
So it wouldn't tie in along the red dotted line here? You're saying everything's got to run down here too?
Yes.
Yes.
There would be a separate system implemented by McBride for a gravity system that would all run to that one lift station.
I guess why go all the way up here and all the way across? We can't just go down this way to tie in?
So, and you can touch on this, but this is, just so you know, this is very preliminary. This is just kind of the one scenario that could happen here. We'll look, I mean, we can look at different scenarios. This is just kind of preliminary. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, it is preliminary, but we've talked about these options probably ad nauseum for the past month. We talked about running along here. Okay, there's an easement here, but you're also going in between the homes and Valley football field, baseball field. And I don't know that the slope is there. I don't know if you guys calculate the slope to then come over here. If we have to go this direction and then this direction, this is a lot of work under MoDOT's highway. We don't want to do that. This here alone is enough. Corey, you can chime in here. To get this flow to here is optimum because it has a lot of capacity left.
Yeah, tying in behind, over on industrial, that's a 10-inch PVC, and you're only picking up those couple houses and Lakeland, so you're kind of tying into a separate spot and then cross over to St. Jude, hit up sizes again. So there's no capacity issues. And we also talked about going along Valley's football field, but then you're tying that same line, just tying it down deeper, taking it further down the line.
This is the optimum point to tie in, then, is what you're saying?
Keep in mind too,
Right.
this is currently our property, or if McBride buys it, their property, no permissions needed. This is an existing utility easement, besides having to get permission from MoDOT. This route would have been a nightmare. This one may also involve some easements. This one, it's already ours, for lack of a better term.
Right, that's what I thought.
But you're still talking the same line. Down here, we're separate. These tying way out. The pipe's upside down.
Right, so it goes, this is the best.
Originally, McBride talked about extending this line to here, and then just tying it through there.
To get ready for enforcement, but yeah.
We're gonna ask questions, aren't we?
Well, I got a question. The legend box here is covering the area. I'm not seeing, I guess, what I need to see, but will the jail, for like better word, will that water be diverted into this new sewer?
Nope, that'll stay on the existing sewer, like the existing Point Base sewer main, that'll still go down that way.
But we're at capacity on that line.
Right, that's why we're redirecting.
They're taking off some.
Right.
Yes, by diverting those two lift stations to the new lift station, that will take some of the burden off that system. Now, if anything is to be added onto that system, it will probably need to be analyzed a little closer. The Point Base portion that I'm talking about, that's already at capacity. But this should help, taking the two lift stations off will help.
I mean, when you take those two, you're taking off
How many
Oberly's, you're taking off Oberly Meat Market, you're taking off the community center, you're talking oh yeah, Riverview.
Yep.
The apartment buildings? No, maybe not. Apartments?
This one,
Jeez. You're taking off a lot of capacity.
Yeah.
that's a lot of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll alleviate a lot of the issues here, and also help with future developments.
And then
I
the
just
new
want
stuff comes down
to
here.
accent what TJ just said. This also, I mean, it helps this issue, that we have a little bit more to talk about. It helps this tremendously, and it helps this later on down the road.
So if we go with this solution, that new lift station, I mean, if you look at the development of the other, 150 something acres that it's out there, how much, if that was all homes or apartment buildings or high use, some, probably not industrial because it's not really zoned for industrial anymore, but are we building enough capacity to finish out that vacant unused?
So that would be,
I know it's a guess, but.
it is, but, so that would be kind of taken care of during the design process. Obviously, these are all preliminary numbers. Just from what we calculated, we estimate that to be a 6-inch force main, but we'll be, during the design process, we would talk with the city about this and try to determine, what could go out here, what capacities could be, so we can try to build that into this lift station. We also need to look at other areas, does it make sense for all this flow to go to this one point, all of that. So that would be a part of the design process, I'd say. But we would account for it, yes, we would try to account for it.
Yeah, want to do it once and let's do it right.
Exactly.
Can you give us an idea of what this would cost?
Yeah, so we put together some preliminary numbers. So let's see here. So with the total or subtotal construction cost with no contingencies or anything, we put an estimate of $919,000, right at $920,000 dollars. And what that includes the lift station itself. That includes the 6-inch force main. The lift station, that number is plus or minus around 300 gallons per minute. Again, during the design phase, we can refine that number. It might go up, it might go down slightly. So just preliminarily, what we thought was around 300 gallons a minute should be sufficient for all this. And that accounts for the new subdivision and also the 2 existing lift stations that would be pumped over to it. And then also it's about 4,600 feet of 6-inch force main that we assumed. And then just the highway end crossing. And we also accounted for there's a small, for lack of a better term, creek. It's really a ditch, but during high rain events, there's a lot of water that moves through there, so we have to do some kind of creek crossing for that. So in total, the construction cost, subtotal is around $920,000. We threw some contingencies in there, 20% just to cover any unknowns of the project right now, and then engineering and everything. So a max total of $1,217,000 is the total number all in all that we estimated. And now I would like to point out that is prevailing wage numbers too. So if something is worked out with McBride, they're private contractors, so that number could go down slightly based on wages. But just wanted to throw that out there.
But that price includes this orange line also then?
Oh, it's already there.
The orange line that you have drawn, this that comes, that's where I'm at, Bob.
It's already there, right?
That's already existing.
Yep. That's already there.
That's already
That's
existing.
where the community center and Oberly meets, that's where that comes in across.
Yes. Yeah, the city already has that implemented.
Does it include this connection?
So we didn't include that. This was just the force main itself and the lift station. Again, we assumed that McBride, we would utilize their system somehow, some way to tie that in and utilize it to get the water over to the lift station.
Corey, would it be possible to do that in-house?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Joe had mentioned a while ago, some possible future, development out in here, even though it's property we don't own and stuff, but there's always a chance. But, that's not included in these numbers and stuff, but could we get a ballpark, to upgrade this to maybe for a future development out here?
So I would, again, the 6-inch does have some capacity for additional future usage. Until we have a better idea of really what that is. The only thing that I would say that is really important that we get right, if there is future development, is the force main specifically, because once that's in the ground, that's going to be one of the most expensive parts of this project. We can upgrade the pumps in the future, but if we can account for it now, again, it goes back to the design. So this is kind of a preliminary look. We talked with the city about some potential growth. Really, we were looking at just trying to provide for this current subdivision and the existing lift stations that would go to it. We would have to talk more with the city though about future.
Yeah, we started with a 4-inch line though and took it up to a 6-inch.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So yes, there was.
Keep one thing in mind, I hate to keep knocking it, but TJ and Mark talked about, this whole system is about 300 gallons per minute. They did a water flow test that was 290. That was on a dry day. 150 or 160 of that, we're estimating, comes from the detention center. So, when we take that off, they're going to be able, if they want to expand. And there's a lot of, what I'm saying is there's a lot of room left here on a 6-inch line.
But you had earlier mentioned also and stuff, it's dry now and stuff, and when it rains, then that flow is gonna go way up.
I guess I was trying to point out.
Right.
That's
Potentially, yeah, it's potential. I mean, there's, it all depends on the inflow and infiltration of the system, but generally during rain events, you will see higher flows, yes.
And we're still conducting some flow monitoring over this weekend. So there's supposed to be rain events, so we're hoping to kind of have a better idea of what that contribution from the rain is whenever that occurs, to see kind of the effects it has on the actual system.
But it's not a heavy rain effect though, it's.
Yeah.
And it's dry now, I mean, other than this dab of snow we had, it is dry.
Yep.
But.
Yeah.
Is there any chance on this when it ties in, you're bringing a force main, a 6-inch force main per se, under pressure into an 8-inch gravity flow line? Is there anything that, I guess a valve or protection in mind for the street that comes on up here from that, where that tie-in is, to keep that from having a backflow or being overran by that flow coming into that?
Yeah, so due to the way this is set up, we kind of analyzed that a little bit. I think, again, going back to during the design, we'll kind of figure all this out, but for the time being, where we have it connecting in is the nearest point. There is a 12-inch that is a little further away. We have looked at that a little bit. I think that cost is covered in the contingencies that I was talking about. That's why we use 20% contingencies. So if we needed to, it can be extended a little further to get it to the 12-inch. But
here, TJ?
I think it might be a little further, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it 12 or 10 inch down there? Or where we're tying in, did you know, did you say 10 inch or? So that is 10 inch? Okay.
Yeah.
I had that mismarked on the.
Okay, so we're tying into a 10-inch.
It says 8-inch here,
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So when you go from a forced main like that to a gravity flow, I think that was part of his question. Does that create any special issues?
I wouldn't think so. So pretty much all that is doing is so like I said, the lift station that we have is pumping at 300 gallons a minute, plus or minus. It's going to vary depending on the design. That'll flow over to our manhole. It'll just dump into that. There's a 10-inch main there. That flow will take it over to gravity-wise to where it needs to go. There shouldn't be really any concerns with any backups or anything like that. All the water that wet well is pumping, so worst case scenario, that's the low point. So all the water, if it does back up to a certain point, it would come out at the wet well. But that shouldn't happen. There are alarms and everything in place for that.
It's a lot clearer now that you said you're going to a 10-inch pipe versus an 8.
Right.
Kind of see my concern there.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, so we need some $1.25 million.
Do you have any more questions for TJ and Mark?
Have you found any oil pockets we can drill into?
I don't think it was oil.
Yes, oil, gold.
Gold would be all right too. All right. Silver's even okay if you find some of that.
One thing I can say is the backups that we've had in our basements is all the time is because of heavy rain. That's the only time we get it.
Right. Yeah, so again, the only flow data that we have currently was within the last week. So, this weekend, I don't know how much is supposed to really rain here, but that will give us an insight on what's actually happening. I'm assuming, just based on the numbers we have now, we're going to see much higher numbers. So the system is in this area at capacity with the current scenario. So.
I think I asked Dave Van Leer this, but you guys are probably party to that. I did ask, would we benefit from putting cure-in-place pipe back here, based on the footage that you saw?
Yes, so I believe the piping that's there now is called truss pipe. It was a cheap alternative. It's pretty brittle stuff. Just over the years. And so because of that, I mean, you're going to have I&I issues due to the type of piping that was used. CIPP, or cast in place plastic pipe, is typically utilized in a scenario like this. Pretty much goes, you can go in and pretty much line the inside of the existing main, so there's no external excavation or anything like that. It's very unintrusive method of taking care of I&I issues. We talked about doing that in that area just to try to lower the amount of I&I that the system sees. Again, we'll confirm it hopefully here shortly with the flow meter that we have installed, if how big of an issue it really is. Typically on systems like this, it is an issue, especially if you know that it's pipe that, like truss pipe, you're normally going to see that kind of issue. So with that being said, I think it would be beneficial to the city to look at that. I don't think that really changes the outcome of what is happening here. Based on the numbers we saw just from the dry data that we do have, the system's pretty much at capacity on a dry day. So on a wet day, it's just going to get even worse. So I think this probably needs to happen, but on top of it, it would be in the city's best interest to kind of look at some CIPP.
But those figures aren't included in the...
Correct, right? Correct.
But we budgeted CIP in this year's
Right.
budget. Yeah, I'm sorry, CIPP.
No, we haven't really had any issues since April 5th of last year.
Don't jinx us.
Yeah, I'm scared every time we go to bake when it rains, but no, we haven't.
Yeah, but it's been unusually dry. That's the part.
What I'm going to move on to, if you don't have any other questions, is some possible routes to make this happen. But I just want to make sure you don't have any other questions for TJ or Mark. And thank you, Joan.
Yeah, thank you. Sure. Any other questions? Okay.
I guess you guys are used to running into this type of issue.
Yeah, it does happen in other municipalities. So it's just, it is part of it, and we're happy to help though.
You have a lot of experience in figuring out what to do.
That's right. Part of the job.
Problem solvers.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys very much for being here tonight. Appreciate all the work you put into this. These are good options. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So TJ and Mark shared with you that number, 919,000. If you throw in contingencies and engineering, it pushes 1.2. Couple of things. One, given the funds that we set aside for infrastructure, the savings that we had from last year's road project, that is something that we could fit into the budget. I would still look for some grant dollars, but not long after talking with Mark and Dave Van Leer a couple weeks ago, I talked with CMO RPC. We talked through a few options. One of them is called CIF, Community Infrastructure Funds, which is through the Delta Regional Authority, and it's 100% grant, and that is closed. And it will not probably reopen until August. It also doesn't, we weren't guaranteed to get that. I just wanted to let you know we did some communication. So we could certainly go to Cochrane. In fact, they've given us a proposal to do the design engineering, construction engineering, bidding. You know, and it's just normal. I'm not throwing them under the bus. That's going to take some time. We're going to have to put that out to bid through the normal processes. McBride is looking to put together an offer to add this to their contingencies. So if they could do this in-house, they could speed that up. TJ, I think, mentioned, you know, that takes out the prevailing wage factor. I think they're going to get back to us on this topic. I was wondering if the committee, the original McBride committee, would want to get back together and kind of talk through the options.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
With that, Bob?
Alderman Prince asked me a question about the amount of flow coming from the detention center and the solids that TJ and Mark mentioned also that can cause problems. I spoke to the sheriff. We talked for about a half hour. You know, we certainly didn't make any commitments, but he was open to talking more about helping out with this. I don't know what that help means in terms of dollars and cents, but you know, if we somehow solve this problem, that opens up more capacity on the old line also for him if he wants to expand in the future. So that conversation continues, and I can share that with the committee.
That didn't answer what I asked you.
I'm sorry.
As far as the nursing home having the...
Yes. We also talked about a bar screen.
There you go.
Yeah.
But he's open, I mean, is that something we can require?
It is something we can require, but I think he's just open to talking about getting it done.
Is there a lot of documented times that waste has happened from up there, that type of stuff, where we were getting documentation from the nursing home that their towels and stuff like that?
Corey, have you found rags or jumpsuits from the detention center?
It's been a little while. I keep like I guess Danny Carroll would say, I can look back and give you some names, but we pulled several jumpsuits out of the lift station one, which is the main lift station that goes in. Yeah.
I think they've done a better job here recently, yeah, but it would still benefit us.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we proceed with Cochran to design this, do we have a time frame for them to do the design?
TJ, how long would it take?
Something like this, off the cuff, 3 months, you know, that's if we're really moving, I'd say. It helps that we don't have to get any easements or anything like that. That helps a lot. That's usually what really stalls projects.
So that's 3 months to design.
And probably get it out, yeah. Have
And then we'd have it out to bid.
Get
it out to bid for a month, and then get started.
And then approximate construction time?
A project like this, I would probably bank on 60 days, 2 months, 2 to 3 months of construction.
It seems fast.
Well, they don't have to really work around it.
Right.
There's nothing out there.
Don't get SIC. Oh.
That construction total time, that you're just talking about, the force main itself from the lift station to there, or all the way from below McBride's thing, that square, from the lift station back toward this way, toward that orange line. All that would be in that 60-day period.
This isn't a force main at this way.
Right, we're just talking about the force main is what we're talking about now.
Yes, the force, that includes the force main and the lift station. I would be more on the cusp of like 90 days, 60 to 90 days, but probably more on the cusp of 90.
But that's what's the idea, is just that lift station outage is what we're buying for $1.2 million, is that?
Yes.
And then McBride's gonna pick up that other section, then the gravity.
That's the assumption. They're gonna have to put a gravity feed line here somewhere.
McBride will take care of that.
They should.
So crossing under MoDOT's highway, MoDOT doesn't do anything fast that I know of.
So they get back to us pretty quickly. Usually we try to send them plans in advance. Normally it shouldn't be a big deal to get a permit from them on this. We've got we show typically what they like to see and have it all up front, and it's usually not a big problem.
So if we, Alderman Donovan, Alderman Steiger, and the mayor, if I send you some dates to get back together and talk about these alternates, will that work? Yep. Yep. Okay. Yep. I don't want to, cut you off if you have more questions, but Ms. Etherton, Mr. James has been here a while, and that's the other issue I think that they're wanting to talk about is, I think hearing what we've heard tonight, we probably do want to pursue the, I said cure in place, I think that's correct. Go out to bid for cure in place piping here. We've talked about a few other areas and Corey has those. We put that in the budget this year. We go out to bid for that and, probably get that done the next couple months. I think so. If we pick one of these other options, the one that we've talked about going the force main down to Progress Parkway and over to Trotman, that cuts the capacity substantially, which lowers the amount of flow in the lines that are going through Point Base. That really tackles the problems that on our end. I know we shared, I shared with Ms. Etherton, Mr. James, they also have low connected laterals. We can't fix that. So that's part of the issue. But if we do these other two things, it could help with the issue that they're experienced.
I think reducing the I&I that's coming to that will do a lot, considering the wet weather.
I think reducing the I&I, and then again, I get, Sheriff Stolzer's been very open to talking about a bar screen and things of that nature to keep solids from coming down. Any other questions? Are you, is the board in favor of going out to bid for the CIP2 project? Okay.
I mean, we already had it funded, right?
We did.
We're budgeted.
Okay.
I think the sooner the better on that because the wet season's coming.
And then we'll get the committee back together to talk about the other two options. Okay.
Dave, we talked about these low entrances of these laterals and stuff, but if I remember right, I was out there that day when we ran the camera down through and there was somewhat of a low elevation in the pipe. What happens there?
Under Parkwood?
Well, actually, it was over by their house, starting from...
I remember that.
It was starting from...
Yeah, that's on the crawler camera had an elevation, and that line is doing this number through. I mean, you have thread equipment pointing out several times.
Yeah, the camera disappeared.
Was that past their house?
No, going across Parkwood was a big one. That's where we were underwater the whole time. But then down through there, like I said, it had several bellies, and the line wasn't.
But it was flowing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the connection and the dips are connected.
I'd have to think about that a little bit because...
Well, the connection is made to the pipe. If the pipe were to dip a little, the connection would drop down, but the connection is going to stay, as it comes into the main, it's going to stay where it was first connected.
And Bob, we were both there.
Yeah, I'm not saying that anything moved there and stuff, but if that pipe is dipped there and their lateral is entering into the lower portion of that pipe, that seems like to me not a good way to drain. In fact, couldn't you see from that crawler camera and stuff that their lateral actually had water in it?
There were, I think, 3 out of 5 on
right.
the longest stretch.
There was actually water in their lateral that was kind of filling up that area, and it has to be because of that dip in the pipe. Something there's got to be looked at because I don't think leaving that alone and not doing something where they're raising that pipe a little bit, raising their laterals a little bit, something, I don't know.
Corey, can you raise laterals?
No.
Well,
you have fall come from the house out, so they should be entered. That's the lowest point they can.
If you raise the lateral on the main, you're going to force material back into the house.
Correct, yes.
You're going to lessen the slope.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're assuming...
With with taking off the progress area that, is being proposed, that would lessen the flow, because that pipe runs about half pipe. Mark, you'd say full time it's a half pipe. During dry weather, when we were out there, four weeks of dry weather, about when we came in October, it was still running half pipe.
Yeah, but we're assuming there's no pitch on their laterals then.
But like I said, that's where they're tied in. I don't know. If you're running your ladder, I wouldn't think you would, tie that low in. You want to make sure you have fall, but yeah, I don't know that. Wasn't there for the installation, obviously.
Possible the basement was just dug too deep in the beginning.
No, but that's all assumptions.
That's assumption there, yeah.
Or assumptions, we need some elevations on their laterals to see, we need to see that pipe, how much dip is in it, because it was substantial.
Yeah,
that camera was.
I still got the footage. I can go back and see exactly where we're at. But and that pipe in front of their house is probably, it's 8 to 10 foot deep.
Would it be possible to pothole that with our vacuum truck and get an elevation where that lateral actually comes in? Maybe the whole works kind of settled something or whatever there for you.
Yeah, I'm more.
Maybe 2 points on their lateral.
If it's settled, Sam, if it's settled though, it's helping them, not hurting them. It's only if that main is raised up, if it's settled and dipped, if it's dipping there, it's, because they're gonna have even more slope. It just seems like there's not enough fall from their basement discharge out to the main through their ladder.
We're assuming that.
Well, if the main drops, raising it up, and putting it back the way it was originally designed is not gonna help, it's gonna make it worse.
There again, we're assuming what their pitch is on their laterals.
But we can't get into their lateral.
Right. I hate to take of thinking that we're gonna put a new line in and it's gonna fix that problem. That's the problem I have here. I've said it all along, it needs to be fixed and it needs to be fixed right.
Well, I think taking a third of the capacity off is a huge fix. And then doing the in situ form, the cure in place will take, it'll take care of the majority of the I&I we saw if we go from Parkwood back along the plaza.
Yeah, that take the detrimental amount of it off.
We were talking about her lateral and my lateral being lower, but there's been sewer backups in every house on that block.
And all the laterals seem to tie in pretty much the same part going in. That's kind of why I was kind of dumbfounded that didn't hear. I think we heard from Ms. Winston before. I don't think I've heard from the other two houses. I don't think. I haven't.
The one on the other side of me had some problems last time too.
Okay, yeah, so first I heard of that, but all in black, I don't know if it looks like all the ladders looks like it's close with any of the board, and y'all are going to see them all, so I might want to take a look.
Okay.
Yeah, did you all have anything to say, Ms. Etherton, Mr. James, did you have anything you wanted to, I know you've been speaking at these meetings over the last several months, so I didn't know if there's anything else.
We were just trying to get some kind of resolution to the problem that we have with the finances, trying to get some kind of a agreement and settlement of the money we've been out since April the 5th, trying to get this resolved.
Can you remind us of the amounts again?
I think I submitted a little over 1,900 to Happy back in the day.
1,900?
it was around that 200. Since that time, I talked to Mike, who had some improvements done in his basement to prevent future issues, and I kind of copied off of him and had the same fellow come to my house. So I added, I think it was another $300 to make those improvements.
2,200 total.
Did either of you take the, help me Corey, check valve?
I've got it, they brought it today.
And you're gonna install it?
Yes.
I did not, because I looked into installation and it was going to run, I think, $1,500, $2,000, something like that.
Mr. James, what was the number that you had submitted previous?
$10,667.
Was that 8? Is that what you said?
Pardon?
8,000?
10.
10,000.
$10,667.65.
Dave, you had made the comment there's nothing we can do with their laterals. Is there something they can do to check their laterals and the elevation? I mean, is there a way to fix the whole problem?
I mean, I think we're making an effort to fix it.
I do. I mean,
I don't know about fixing the lateral. Corey's much more knowledgeable than I, but if it comes out of the basement, connects to the pipe, and it's not working correctly, you can't lift this. You can't lift this.
We can't move their basement, or we can't move our our main.
I've been around a few construction sites in 53 years, so, but.
Have we heard anything from the apartment complex that had the elevator damage? Where are they at?
No, I have not heard anything. But I think you will if you make us.
And actually, if we raise their lateral higher up on the main, we're just going to make the problem worse.
I still go back to a year assuming there's no pitch on their laterals. There's not enough sufficient pitch on their laterals, and that's a question we don't have the answer to.
But we're not going to get it.
Right.
I mean, we can't get that information from, and it's backing up into their house, so it's coming back, and I mean, that's the whole point. It's flooding their basement by 6 inches or whatever, however much water they got in there. I mean, how do we get that, Bob? I mean, how do you tell them, how do we get it? It seems that it was installed correctly to begin with. Back in the 70s or whatever. Short of a check valve, I don't know what else you do.
Well, it kind of seems like with history here, how long have you lived there, Mike? A long time, right?
77.
Since 77. Had you had any problems before that detention center that was put up there? Did you ever have any problems?
I don't remember what date the detention center was put up there, but we never, the first problem I had is 2005.
So if we would get the flow back to where it was
Detention
in
center.
earlier times, if that flow out of there, probably the system would work. That's right. That's kind of where I'm going at.
I think some of the problem is, you know, if some way there's stormwater getting in that sewer system, someplace, is what's caused, because we don't have a problem until it rains real hard. It's the only time we have a problem with it.
Yeah. So just to remind, we did a smoke test, showed no issues, but the crawler camera did show the issues, and that's what I want to tackle with the CIPP.
I think that's probably, I would, you know, I think you do that and you get that flow down where it was what the system was designed to run. Because he hadn't had problems since 77 till 2005.
And the
So the
detention
system
center was
apparently
in the
worked.
90s. The detention center was in the early 90s.
Not to
I'm saying.
mention Microtel, the detention center also has a car wash, laundromat.
That's where I'm going at. The system in its original design was working.
They probably didn't have the amount of prisoners back in 2000 than what they do now.
So we get the flow back to what it was in previous.
Correct.
Well, it should take care of the problem.
Correct.
With this, secure in place.
Yes, sir.
Should take care of it.
And eliminating some of the capacity.
Eliminating some of the.
Well, eliminating some of the,
What we talked about with Cochran.
Oh, well.
shifting some of the
Shifting some
current,
usage.
Yeah,
Wouldn't change-
usage to a different-
We wouldn't limit the capacity, we would limit.
Oh,
some
let's
of the-
double the water
We
rate.
take some of the capacity that flows.
We did that already.
Oh, we did that? Okay.
shift the load to a different area.
Just said,
You know.
so we double the water rates, it won't use so much water.
You know, you
Okay.
can't tell me that it
So-
didn't line, does it? Anybody into it?
So
We're assuming from.
our guests are here asking about settlement. That's the question that's be set forth. I think we figured out a path forward here to trying to remedy the situation. So the question now is on reimbursement. Roughly 12,867 total. Is that right? 10,667 and 2,200 or so?
Mr. James, you are putting in the check valve at your, okay.
I just got it today.
My concern on that is I'm all for reimbursing these guys, but I'm worried about the elephant in the room, the other $100,000 that are in the street. When we pay them, they're gonna want $100,000 too.
Setting precedent.
You know, I feel that they deserve the money, but we gotta look at a possible setting a precedent for another $100,000. We could be looking at $110,000 versus that. It's just the ugly facts. I mean, do I
just think,
do the money?
I mean, I hate to take this position, but I hate to go again. I mean, our insurance liability says we are not liable. And, you know, we've done that. We've stood by their decision on every other thing that's come up, whether it be Market Street, whether it be any of the other areas that have come up over the years. And, you know, if we don't stand by our insurance company and their findings, then we have to look at every other situation before too, in every future.
Well, they had the same findings in 2005, the insurance company did.
Yeah, and I think we went against them and paid you guys out, correct? Yeah.
So what happens if it happens again? Is this one and done, or are we gonna continue to look at that in the future and?
Well, we put plugs in our drains in the basement. I have, and I think you did
Yeah,
too.
too.
Right.
And I picked up the homeowner's insurance so that it wasn't the responsibility of the city. And over the years, I've filed 4 different claims. I'm out $4,000 in just deductibles for that. I've stepped up and assumed my end of the responsibility on this for a system that was not something I could control.
I guess, so why don't you put in the valve? I guess just the cost?
Well, one of the first meetings that I visited with, I think I remember Alderman Steiger saying it's a mechanical device that's gonna fail.
I agree. I mean, it can.
So
We can, yeah, for sure.
But not doing anything is,
Yeah.
will always fail. I mean,
I don't have a problem in reimbursing to install the valves right now. Giving them the valves and paying somehow, or however you want to look at giving them the money to have them installed. I don't have a problem with that. Any further than that, I guess, is still open for discussion, but I think the valves and putting them in, I just have questions about if this new line is gonna take it, and then we're looking at 6-7 months down the road to get it done. We're gonna go through the spring of the year. It can happen again. I'd feel better if the valves were in.
I would.
If it was my house and I was living there, but.
Well, not only the valve being in the line, but we'd have plugs in our drain and our basement also.
So the valves are available.
Right.
Mr. James has one, Corey has one with Miss Etherton's name on it if she wants it. The installation is what you're talking about.
Yeah, I have no problem right now giving them a check for that and saying,
I'm just gonna do my due diligence here. If you do that for 2, do you do it for others? And what happens if there's a issue with the valve? This decision is completely up to you all.
that's why I kept bringing up the point of finding all the avenues, finding all the issues and fixing all the issues, but we seem to keep assuming there's something there that's not right, but.
I think we're doing a diligent process of trying to find the errors and repair them.
I think there's more.
On our side, but Bob, what do you, I mean, you think besides mine is getting on private property and finding out, the slope of their lateral.
Okay, then we'll not only pay for the valves, we'll pay for putting them in, but let's throw some money at them for basically checking their laterals to see if there's pitch on them. I have no problem as long as I'm for sure fixing the problem.
Well, if they put the valve in, did that go in at the street or at the house at the basement?
Well, wherever their liability is and ours.
I mean, the valve goes somewhere in between.
Yeah, I don't know where they.
You can cut the basement open, if, they're not worried about spot in the basement, they can have it there, where it's serviceable. If not, like, it's going to be 8 to 10 foot installing outside. They're serviceable, so you can put 4-inch pipe coming up to where the check valve can be pulled out, cleaned, serviced, put back in. There's a couple residential, one I know that's right around the corner on Oakwood, and she has no problem since she's installed it. People next to her have had backups, she has not.
They install that in the drain, in the basement?
She installed hers in the yard. But you can, if you want to cut a piece of concrete out, that way you're only, 6 inches deep. If you don't mind, another cap in your floors, concrete around it. Being that deep, that's what I would recommend in that area, but that's just me because.
As opposed to being outside and having to dig 10 feet.
Exactly, and once again, you go back to sloping that or shoring it, and then your installation costs are going to be up.
So since we have an engineer here, have you ever got involved checking the residential laterals to see?
So, not necessarily laterals. We have investigated backups like this, but typically the way we would handle this is kind of how we approach this. You would try to get your flows down to a manageable level, so you're ionize all the water that's coming in your system. When all that water is coming in your system, it can only go through such a small portion of that pipe. The pipe's got a certain capacity. After that, you start getting backups. So it's pretty much what that means is all the water, I mean, everywhere in the manholes even, it's getting up to a certain point where it's going into their basement. So it's not just there's water filling literally the manholes, going into their basement, everything. The entire water level raises during backup. That's what's happening. So typically, if you can remove that water through CIPP or diverting flows to a different manhole, that is usually what we do to mitigate backups.
Are there vents outside your houses in the yards?
In the back.
Oh, in the back? But not from the front, the main?
There's one at my house.
It's in the back though.
No, I got it in the front.
It should be in between,
Oh, a fence, I thought you said that.
no, a vent. It should be between your house and where it ties into the main.
Yeah, I've got one.
There is, yeah, I thought you said fence.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, a vent, yeah,
Right.
What did the plumber quote you to install that valve?
I did that today, I got that for you.
I guess we would kind of need a rough number of what it would cost to install one from a local certified plumber. So we would know, Bob, kind of like Bob's idea, but we need a number, what it would cost to put a valve in.
If you consider that, I would ask that they take care of the installation and submit the bills, not we install.
No, I didn't mean that. I just meant paying for it.
That's what I mean,
Right.
to reimburse them for the installation.
However you want to call the money, reimbursement, paying them damages. Corey, is that something I mean, these guys that install these laterals all the time from the houses, is that something you could work with them to check that out, or?
Check out.
Well, I mean, if there's a vent in the yard pretty close to the house, you can determine where it starts, where the lateral starts and what the pitch is from there out. Can we find what the elevation is there and what the elevation is out where it hooks up to the main?
If we could get a plumber to say run a cable or something, we can locate that, and it's gonna give us a depth on our locator, but how accurate it is, that might be a different story.
Can't just stick a rod down through the...
Yeah.
Probably got a trap in it.
That's my opinion.
Well, we're short some numbers here, so maybe we ought to see what it would cost to have, how much we would need to reimburse them to have the valve. Right now, we're just throwing darts at the blank wall, so.
I think at this point, we owe it to them to provide some sort of resolution. They've come to several meetings, they've been very patient with us through this process. They're looking for clarity.
It's not that I'm not looking for clarity, I'm looking for clarity on a fix, a good fix.
No, I understand. I think the engineers have given us an idea of what the fix is, and I think we're moving forward with that piece of it. Now I think we're to a point where the things that we know are wrong, we can fix, and we've identified those fixes. We're talking a lot of what ifs and unknowns about laterals right now, and we're not gonna be able to find those answers. But we know what is currently wrong. We've been told that. We're taking the steps to fix them now. The question on the table is the reimbursement.
And just to be clear, the second denial, the insurance companies were informed of all the new information.
The original claims were denied, they appealed the claim, and it was denied. The information the insurance company has is how often we clean those pipes, and they're regularly cleaned. In fact, they're probably more than regularly.
Just in prison.
If we did a flat amount, that it included the installation of the check valve at their cost, and we just reimbursed a flat amount, let's just say we paid up to $5,000 for reimbursement and installation of a check valve if the check valve was installed. So we kind of get rid of, and we just do a flat fee tonight. Would that be something that you would consider, Alderman Doan? And I guess I should ask,
So you're talking $5,000 a piece and that's it?
well, not, and it would include the installation of a check valve. And to recuperate, damages that they've had.
So in addition to the damages?
No, that's just a flat fee to compensate for damages and to install a check valve.
And what if it happens again?
Sign a hold harmless agreement, and we've done our best to, we're going to do the cure in place solution. I mean, and that's the only solution we've got from any of our engineers or our in-house water and sewer. So we think that's a good fix, but we won't know for years if that's really, the I&I is really an issue. We won't know for years until, but besides doing the cure in place and the check valve.
Well, the I&I is the issue because that's when it happens. It's,
yep.
That section we're going to do that too, but I mean, there's no guarantee that that's where all of that's coming from.
No, but there's not much more. If we disconnect at Progress and do the new line and we CIPP up to, near your place or farther, there's not much above that.
So that does include going up and back of the shopping center because the camera that day we seen gaps and we didn't know if those were couplings or gaps in the pipe.
That's what we would CIPP.
Right.
I don't know the distance right here tonight, but if we put the cure in place, from Parkwood to near the County Do-It Center, what I'm saying is that's where we saw the I&I, and from there back to the top of Bosler Drive, that's all that would be left of that pipe. And that's newer, much newer pipe.
Yeah, and a detention facility, that's their own line too, so there can be something there where maybe we do flow testing if we get permission from.
We did find a little I&I there, but we fixed that.
Yeah,
yes.
but
right.
With their line coming in that manhole where we start picking up, they may be something wrong with their line.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you think of one payment?
But I don't know what it's going to cost to install this check valve. I mean, I don't have no idea what that would cost.
Corey, do you have any idea on that?
Do you want resolution tonight, or do you want to come back to us and let us know what it's going to cost?
I mean, do you have any idea what it's going to be?
Would you have a problem with being in the basement?
No.
Being here.
I'd rather be in there than in the yard.
Yeah, I wouldn't see anybody being over $500 a bit.
No.
Cut the section out, 2 foot long, and cut that out, put 2 fittings, a piece of pipe, and bring it up to grade and come back through with some concrete. So quick reading.
So, I mean, what are you talking about? How much money?
I'm joking about, like I said, $500 should get it. $500 to $800, I'd say.
So no more than 1,000.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about out in the yard, I guess.
He offered
a lot more expensive.
Mike asked for it to go in his basement.
Oh,
Out in the yard, you're 8 to 10 foot deep, so there's gonna be a lot more dirt work. You're gonna have to slope that back to make it safe to get 8 to 10 foot down to get it.
Would you think it would be better to put it in the basement than in the yard?
I would be a lot easier to maintain.
So how do you locate that line under the floor?
Run the cable in there and locate it.
Oh,
That metal,
locate
that
cable.
metal snake cable, then you
Right,
can
then
locate
locate it off the cable.
You can get within a few inches.
The mainer or the one with the elevator, both of theirs are in their, the basement of their, office building there. They install it down there.
I'm good with that. Are you crazy?
What's up?
I mean,
And basically, that's it then, if it happens again?
I hope it don't, I mean.
I do too, but I don't feel like I'm doing anybody justice if I don't ask that question.
Yeah. If that check valve works, I guess that would, yeah, I mean, we got the plugs in my basement, yours too, I mean.
You leave them in all the time, or you put them in as a...
They're in all the time. I removed the stool in the basement and put a
Right.
plug there.
I'm fine with it, but I still have questions, and I'll leave it at that.
I guess I'm fine with it as long as we're moving forward with all the plans that we were talking about earlier with the maps. If
I don't think we have a choice there.
6 months down the road, we're not doing anything with it, that's not okay.
Sure. I mean, given what I heard tonight, we'll be out to bid for the CIPP within a month. The committee will meet, I mean, that was a large dollar amount,
I understand
and
that.
decide the other option, but we're gonna have to do something for the subdivision to go in place. And that guarantees, I know you were concerned, rightfully so, that won't put another 137 homes on that line.
Absolutely.
But that number that came out of budget time, I think that's right around 2,300 feet of CIPP work. That's what roughly it is.
So these backflow valves that you have, are they the Cadillac, or are they the mid-range, or the cheapies?
They're about $330 a check though.
No, I mean, are they the top of the line, or are they...
Yeah, I don't see another one out there unless you're getting mechanical and everything else, which you're gonna run into issues with being mechanical, so yeah, I mean, there's been several installed, and once again, I haven't heard anybody call me.
Would you install it on your house?
Huh?
Would you install it on your house?
Yeah.
Joe, is that your proposal, 5,000 each, and...
That's an idea.
I think it's a good idea. Like you said, we've strung this out long enough, but...
We're in a work session. We're in a work session, so I don't know how you want to move forward.
I'm looking for guidance. If this is an option that you want to pursue, I'll reach out to our attorney and have him run it.
Mark will have to weigh in.
But I just want some specifics.
I think the 5,000 flat.
5,000?
Yeah.
But if they run into a
With
problem.
the guarantee of check valve installation and hold harmless agreement for future.
Yeah. And if the valve would happen to run more, whatever, everything's always got an open end, we'll just cap it at 5,000, assuming that they can get their valve in.
Yeah, we give them the valve.
If the valve is, yeah, right. If the valve is more, that's their problem.
And we pay upon installation. We paying now, or we paying upon?
So, just to clarify, you're suggesting a $5,000 flat payment to each person. They say, they guarantee to us and show us that they have installed a check valve, and there's a hold harmless part to that agreement.
Based on the attorneys.
What about the people that have already installed the check valves? I mean, we're opening up a huge can of worms here.
We'll deal with them as they come. Not many have had as many issues as they've had.
No, but Joe, we need some
We had some down on Market Street a few years back.
Quite a few.
And we probably have some I&I issues down there.
I don't think we paid them any money either.
No.
Right.
That's where we might need to do the cast in place next, so that we prevent that from happening, going forward.
Well, I like to read the $5,000 flat. That way they get something back, and when we're sure that the valves have been installed per design before they get paid. And like Joe said, the disclaimer or whatever.
Hold harmless.
Or hold harmless.
They've trusted us long enough. I think I'd trust them.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Well, that one guy's kind of shady. I don't know. I've seen him shoot pool. I know how to, I watch him kind of close sometimes.
I'll do whatever it takes to keep this happening again.
I had a house that happened, and I guarantee it's not.
It's not fun.
Nope.
All right, I think we've got some direction. That whatever you don't need, leave, and I will take.
No, I want these.
Okay.
Want a couple cell phone numbers too.
Once again, thank you guys for your patience as we kind of got our bearings and figured out what was going on. We appreciate it.
I appreciate the work to find a solution.
Yeah, and
We'll be in a couple weeks to talk with our attorney, and I'll be in touch. Is that okay?
That's good.
Okay. All right, thank you again for coming tonight too. Anything else to discuss at this time? Okay, we are adjourned.